In the name of God, the most gracious and most merciful. Before I start to tell you the details about the family tree of Prophet Ibrahim, I would like to inform you about the pronunciation of names of the prophets in this video. The pronunciation might differ in different countries, so please, check the correct one according to your country or language. Quran has addressed BANI Israel numerous times. Unless you will know the background of BANI Israel, you will not be able to understand numerous verses of the Quran. Now, why does Quran addresses BANI Israel? Basically, Israel is a word of Ibrani language. Abdullah, which means the man of Allah, God, approximately 3,000 years ago, in the land of Sham. Now, please bear in mind, when I say Sham, I do not mean the current land of Sham. Palestine was also included along with many other areas, which are no longer in Sham now. For example, at the time of Prophet Muhammad, when Hindustan used to be mentioned, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Burma and Sri Lanka were all included. So, in Al-Hadith, the Sham of that time is mentioned. Prophet Ibrahim was born in idolaters. The name of his father was Azar. The God tested him a lot. One of the verse in the Quran says, remember that time, when Ibrahim's God tested him in some things. The tests were very hard. One of the tests was to sacrifice his son. This test was after his son was born. But even before the birth of his son, there were many tests. He had to leave his wife at the place, where survival was very difficult. And one of the tests was that his father used to sell idols, but he used to call towards the oneness of God. So, when the God tested Prophet Ibrahim a lot, He rewarded him in this world. Quran has mentioned about that reward in chapter Al-Baqarah. God said, O Ibrahim, I am appointing you as a leader of mankind. And what would be the condition of becoming a leader? He will have prophethood throughout his generations. He will have children and there will be prophets amongst them. So, when the God decided to reward Prophet Ibrahim, He blessed him with 2 sons. One was Isaac and the other one was Ismail. Please bear in mind that you must listen to this lecture attentively and try to memorize it. This will help you to understand the sequence of the prophets and the concept of BANI Israel when you recite the Quran in this perspective. So, the Prophet Ibrahim had 2 sons, Ismail and Isaac. The name of the mother of Isaac was Sarah, and Hajra was the mother of Ismail. The generations of Isaac grew in the native land of Prophet Ibrahim, Sham, and the generations of Prophet Ismail grew in Makkah, where Prophet Ibrahim left his wife Hajra. So here, the son of Isaac was born, Prophet Jacob, in the land of Sham. The glad tiding was already given to Prophet Ibrahim by the God about his son Isaac and his grandson, Jacob. And it was already revealed by the God that both of them will be prophets. The nickname of Prophet Jacob is Israel. Jacob had a very large family size and many people were born in his generations. His 11 sons are mentioned in the Quran. 2 of 11 were from one wife and 9 from the other wife. Joseph was one of the sons out of 11. And one of them was Binyamin. And from another wife, there was a son named Yahuda. So, these sons had their generations grown. How did the generations grow? In Sham there was a Qibla and Beit al-Maqdis. So here, out of jealousy, the brothers of Joseph threw him inside the well. We will learn about the story of Prophet Joseph in the chapter Yusuf of Quran. There was a caravan passing by who took Joseph out of the well and sold him in the markets of Egypt. Egypt, at that time, was well known for its civilization and as a stable estate. So, after being sold in the markets of Egypt, Joseph ended up in the palace of the king. Quran has mentioned about his progress there. He used to interpret dreams and took Egypt out of economic crisis. On the basis of his qualities, he was made the king of Egypt. When he became the king of Egypt, his father Jacob, along with his wife and whole family, shifted to Egypt. It is said that there were around 90 people in the family of Jacob. So, the reason they moved to Egypt from Sham was that there were more facilities over there. Plus his son was the king. After that, the generations of BANI Israel grew on a high pace. But still they were minority as compared to idolaters. As usual, they lost the rule over Egypt due to the envy of majority of people because they had a true religion. The cruel kings started to rule them. It is common to see the believers of the true religion, if ruled by a cruel king, oppressed by him, because he wants to eliminate the religion. The true religion with an attraction in it is usually a target. So, Pharaoh was the nickname given to whoever became the king. It is not a name of some specific king, every king used to be called Pharaoh. The one mentioned in the Quran is that specific one, who came at the time of Moses. Well, the BANI Israel was oppressed by all the kings because they knew that only BANI Israel can stand against them, as they had a vision and a clear message that can prove the kings wrong. That is when the Pharaoh had a dream. A boy will be born in BANI Israel, who will end his kingdom. The Pharaoh, which is mentioned in the Quran, started to oppress BANI Israel. He ordered to kill the sons and take girls as slaves. He tried to vanish BANI Israel from the face of the earth, but the God sent Moses. The story of the Moses is very interesting, that how the God made his mother put him inside the box, and the box in the river, and the box ended up in the palace of Pharaoh, and how the God made Pharaoh groom the prophet Moses. So, Pharaoh was destroyed by the God through Moses. BANI Israel was not powerful enough to fight Pharaoh. That is why the God drowned him in the river by himself. So, when the God destroyed Pharaoh, BANI Israel started to disobey Prophet Moses and became unthankful. They did not believe in the God sincerely, but only few did. Anyways, then they were given the holy book, Torah and commandments to follow. Then the prophet Moses ordered them to return to their native land Sham, where the prophet Jacob used to be. So, Moses is also from the family of Jacob. Their native land Sham was captured by the nation called Amalekah. That is why the God ordered them to take their land back through a fight. Plus he, the God, guaranteed the success in that fight. But the BANI Israel disobeyed Moses. And they started to make excuses that they are not powerful enough to fight. So, Moses got very disappointed and prayed to the God to separate him from his nation. The God accepted the prayer and said that they will wander in the valley T for 40 years and will not be able to find a city to live. The literal meaning of T is surprise. So, that means the valley of surprises. The prophet Moses and his brother prophet Aaron stayed with BANI Israel, where they got manna and salva. The God did not treat them like prisoners, but they were given food and the cover through the clouds. Anyways, as a punishment, BANI Israel stayed there for 40 years, and the Moses and his brother Aaron passed away in the same place. Then, the God sent a new prophet. Under his supervision, BANI Israel fought and defeated the enemies. In this fight David was present too. He was not a prophet at that time. He fought very bravely and courageously. He was the one who killed the commander of the enemies. The fight was very difficult and many people flee the war. The name of the commander of the enemies was Jalut. Anyways, we will learn this in the story of Prophet David later on. Let's stick to the family tree of Prophet Ibrahim. So, in BANI Israel there was a prophet David too, as he was from the family of Prophet Jacob. Though he was not given the prophethood when he was in a fight, but on the basis of bravery, the God made him a leader of that fight. After becoming the commander of that fight, he was also blessed with the wisdom and prophethood. So, after the previous prophet was gone, David became the leader of Bani Israel. Prophet David was very pious, and he was given many miracles. One of his miracles was, his speeches were very amazing. And when he used to recite, the birds used to gather around him. When he used to pray to God, the sound of La ilaha illallah used to come from the mountains. And the iron used to become soft in his hands. He was very pious. He used to pray at night and fast in the daytime. He also used to fight in the way of the God. So, Bani Israel captured a very large area because of the Prophet David and ruled over it. That is why they still cry over it, saying that we were so powerful rulers once. As there was no limit on marriages at that time, so Prophet David had many wives. The Prophet Solomon was the inheritor of Prophet David. Quran has also praised Prophet Solomon. The God blessed both Solomon and the Prophet David with ability of judgment. So, Prophet Solomon was given even bigger kingdom than Prophet David by the God. Once, the Prophet Solomon prayed to the God to grant him the kingdom, like of which will not be given to anyone, till the end of time. His intention was good and sacrifices were there. So the God accepted his prayer. Even the winds became obedient to him. He did many developments in his time. It is quite possible that the pyramids might have been constructed in his time, as he used to rule the ghosts too. He was able to understand the birds as a miracle from the God. The reason pyramids are one of the wonders of the world is, the scientists have failed to understand the way they are built, without any cranes. It is possible that the ghosts might have constructed them. I am not a scientist but just saying. So, this is why Prophet Solomon was known as the King Solomon in old scriptures. But he died suddenly, after having a very big kingdom. Then Bani Israel started to see downfall, but the God sent numerous prophets till the family of Imran was chosen for prophethood. The God said that he gave the leverage to Bani Israel over the other nations, and gave them more knowledge, of both religion and worldly. And amongst the Bani Israel, the God gave the leverage to the family of Imran. Though the world was dependent upon them for their knowledge and the rule, but they were always unthankful to the God. There is a chapter in Quran called Imran. Though he was not a prophet, but he was blessed with them in his family. The wife of the Imran vowed to devote her child for the Masjid al-Aqsa. But the girl was born. Her name was Saint Mary. Due to the fact that the Saint Mary's both of the parents died when she was still a child, her uncle groomed her. Her uncle's name was Zachariah. He was also a prophet. Zachariah was one of the last prophets sent to Bani Israel. In his old age, he asked the God to give him a son. So, he was blessed with Prophet John. In Arabic he is known as Yahya. So, Saint Mary and Zachariah, Jesus and John were present at the same time in Bani Israel. Quran has mentioned numerous miracles of Saint Mary, who was the mother of Jesus. Her son was born miraculously, without a father. Bani Israel killed their own prophets, Zachariah and John, as per their guest Jesus too. Quran has described the reason of their such actions. Whenever a prophet used to preach them against their will, they either denied him or killed him. And because the prophet Jesus is the last prophet sent to Bani Israel, that is why the God saved him by rising him up and will send him back near to end of time. So, he will return near the end of time, to bear witness the prophethood of Muhammad. The reason why the God shifted the prophethood from Bani Israel to Bani Ismail is due to their disobedience. Prophet Ismail did not have any prophet in his generations, till after 2,000 years later Prophet Muhammad was born. Though the Prophet Ismail only had one prophet in his generations, Prophet Muhammad, but he was a leader of all the prophets. The God blessed both Ismail and Prophet Isaac. He blessed Ismail through quality and Isaac through quantity of prophets. The reason Bani Israel got jealous of Bani Ismail was, they used to say that we were always given prophets, So, why? The God sent the prophet in Bani Ismail. The God says to them, instead of getting jealous, they should repent and correct themselves, as they were given the leverage over the other nations previously, which they did not deserve, due to their actions. The Bani Israel was becoming a barrier for other nations to enter Islam, because they used to say, "Why, Bani Israel is not believing in Prophet Muhammad as they are more literate, and were given the holy books in which they believed." This is why Bani Israel has been addressed numerous times in the Quran, asking them, why you do not believe in the Prophet Muhammad, when his name is mentioned in your scriptures and holy books. So, that is why the passing by caravan from Medina settled there, because they thought when the Prophet will migrate to Medina then they will believe in him, as it was written in their holy books. But when the Prophet Muhammad migrated to Medina, the envy took over them and they said, why should they believe in an Arabic person when they are more literate? So, this was a little bit background of Bani Israel, which might help you to understand numerous verses in the Quran. May the God guide all of us to the straight path. Amen.